10 Traps of a Relationship, Part 2. The thing about it is there are often a lot of people who get married in the late teens and they don't get divorced until their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, if they do get divorced. And I'm not saying every relationship ends in a divorce. But what I am saying is a lot of these relationships that people get into, they're ill-prepared to be in. They just get into them at the spur of the moment, they're infatuated, they think they're in love, but ultimately they end up getting with someone that they were never prepared to love or to be loved by in the first place. There's a lack of maturity there. Then a lot of bad habits that they happen to acquire in the relationship end up affecting them later in life. So they're less effective now, out and free, able to do what they want to do, because they spend so many of their younger years in a relationship in the first place. That comes with a disadvantage. When you're younger, you have less negative ideas and less societal norms hardwired in your mind. When you get older, this stuff's hardwired, it's more fixed in, so if you haven't made the type of change you want to make in your life, it's harder to do it when you're older. Well, this is true when it comes to attaining peace as well. I'm talking about that deep internal peace. Deep internal peace requires a lifetime commitment. And often the person you're with is not going to be down with you being so serious about your own internal peace. They may claim to be, but usually this is not the case, whether it's woman or the man. Often when you do get one side that wants to change their internal state, actually wants to go deep inside, the other side's not going to be on board, because usually they're going to be unfamiliar with anybody doing that kind of thing around them. Actually going deep and doing deep consciousness, deep internal work is something that's unfamiliar. When it's unfamiliar to you, you don't want to get on board. And when it comes to deep internal work, the type of work that gives you peace, being in a relationship makes this more difficult. It makes it more difficult because when you're in a relationship, it's harder to get the time by yourself, especially if you're living in a place that's small or if you have kids. It doesn't mean that it's impossible. It is not impossible at all. What I'm talking about is it's more difficult. So remember, you are losing your youth inside of a relationship. That's what's happening if you get into a relationship too young. And you want to use those youthful years to put time into yourself and actually attain eternal peace, because it's my belief that peace equals perfection, meaning the perfected human. And if you are a perfected human, well, guess what? You're going to be a better individual, a much better, substantially better individual inside of a relationship. But these people within relationships, whether a woman or a man, they don't exist, okay? You don't ever have anyone who's actually considerably selfless in a relationship. This is an extremely rare thing. Those people will deny it. They'll deny it till they're blue in the face, but this is the case. People don't take peace seriously because people don't really know what peace is. When you're losing your youth, you're losing your best shot at being able to attain permanent peace, because as I said, when you do get older, a lot of the bad habits that you learn from other people as you're getting older are hardwired. They're much more hardwired when you're in your 40s. They're much more hardwired when you're in your 50s. And when you're in your 60s especially, you don't think that you can make a change. So if you've never experienced eternal peace, if you never had a real glimpse when you were younger from putting in the work, then what do you think is going to happen when you're in your 50s and your 60s and you've been in 1 or 2 or 3 relationships, you've been in a marriage, you have multiple kids? It's going to be so much harder to attain deep eternal peace. And what are you doing a relationship for anyway? What are you getting into one? You're doing it for your own happiness. You're doing it for satisfaction. You're doing it for peace. This is something that people should be willing to admit at some level. You think you're doing it for happiness, but it never brings you happiness. The priority number 1 is to attain deep permanent peace within, and you have to do that by accepting the idea that, hey, maybe I should make it more of a point to be solo dolo, kind of do my own thing before I get into a relationship. Doesn't mean you can't have dates and go out and have fun and do your own thing, but the investment in terms of a deep, committed relationship is something you should be willing to wait for a little later in life, so you get time to put into yourself to attain the peace that so many people are unable to attain, because almost no one attains this. You think it doesn't matter. Trust me, it's going to matter. Some people may get in their feelings about the things that I'm saying, just trashing on relationships, like relationships don't matter, like no one gets in a relationship, like maybe I haven't been in a relationship and I know what I'm talking about. Trust me, I value relationships, same way other people value relationships, but I look at them a little differently. And this is based on my own experiences, mistakes I made when I was younger as well. And trust me, you are talking to a person who, from personal experience and just his overall perspective, knows it is possible to put serious work into yourself while you're in a relationship. But as I said, it is substantially more difficult. Just remember why you're in a relationship in the first place. You're doing it for a level of satisfaction, happiness. What if you could get that without the relationship? What if you could bring the perfect self, the person who is at peace within themselves, into the relationship? You don't know what that looks like. You're not even close to experiencing what that actually looks like. See, if you discover, if you get a real glimpse of peace, what internal peace feels like when you're young, just imagine being able to be in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s throughout all those years, being able to work on yourself and develop yourself and grow the peace within you, develop yourself further and further, and get that deep internal peace. Because when you have that incentive, which is derived by a brief experience of deep internal peace that you were fortunate enough to get when you were younger, you get to work on this for years and years and years, and then by the time you get into your 30s and your 40s, you are at this level of equanimity that other people around you would experience as completely foreign, but they will be unable to deny that it is something they want to be around. It is something that they enjoy seeing in another person. It's something that they want in themselves. But most people won't take it seriously. They can't help it because society as a whole doesn't take it seriously. The mainstream doesn't take it seriously. So why would they take it seriously? Deep internal peace. What is deep internal peace? You can go out to the club, you go to a party, or you could be in the relationship itself and with the sex and being able to just sit back on the couch and watch Netflix, going on a vacation. That is peace to them. They think that's peace, but they have no idea. The issue is no one has an idea what real peace is. And if you get into a relationship too young, you're not going to have an idea of what real peace is. So you'll have no incentive to try to attain it in the first place. And that brings us to trap number 3.